I'd like to discuss today things that come in different levels. Now, I'm going to start with something which is fascinating. First, makes a bris. So the people that are shaykh to the bris are allowed to eat meat. Am I not okay?
Fine. Yeah, the round like slightly.
What's called shaykh? Okay. Now, I would like to just share with you some halachic opinions in general, which I think are important to know. A person who is an avolei aleinu, and they have a grandson's bris. Should they? Are they obligated to attend or not? They're not Sunday. They're not. They don't have any position that the physician gives them a suspension from, from the Avelis. So there are many places that say a grandparent is like a parent. Just like a parent is his simcha, that includes the wife. What's the wife have to do with it, right? Excuse me. The father is a kind of mitzvah. Well, she just changing the diapers. What does she do with the mitzvah? What? We're not talking about the birth, not a birthday party.
She has no halachic ramification or any position.
What do you stand in for? Is that Torah?
He can't do it.
So are you stand in if you can't do it?
I'll be after that.
Why after that? Who says?
I don't think the Torah did it.
Who's the option? What's the option? The snake? What's the option? The snake?
Yeah.
He doesn't have hands.
I don't know.
I wasn't there. I will just share with you a fascinating negative interaction I had with my Rashiva when one of his first grandchildren were born. So I gave him a mazel tov, and I asked him, is it proper for me to give you a bracha lachnisai? So he said, avada. So I said, why is that so? The halacha is, if the father doesn't do it, then the grandfather has obligation. Why would I want to give you that bracha? No, it's not a joke. It's a serious question. He, for some reason, was not pleased with the question. He's your kind of guy?
It's an obvious thing. It's obvious why it's okay to say.
Why is it okay?
Because there is an extension, his son is an extension of him.
Is that really so?
But the wife is an extension of the husband.
Is that really so? What's that extension? I want to tell you something. I don't think, but that's the reason why the wife has a heter just like the father. I think it's because it's her child. Don't do it with the husband.
Right, and this is his
No, not because Ishta Kigufu that she's an extension of him. It's her child that is having this mitzvah done, even without the kiyum of the mitzvah. Your child has reached a certain point. Now the halacha is, as far as a bris is concerned, it's a fascinating halacha. Let's say like during Sphira, the day of the bris, you'll not take a haircut. Now, to most people, it sounds like a very benign halacha. This halacha is really very odd because most people, where I grew up, a bris is done between 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning, and you get your lox, tuna bagel wrapped up to go. Right? This is have it down pat. Okay. When are you supposed to get the haircut? During what is saying tachlis? It's right after Shachris.
People shave that morning.
Are you allowed to shave in the morning? Are you allowed to shave in the morning for Shachris?
No, after Shachris.
After Shachris, it's over. It's not Israel. It's about America. After Shachris, gone. Not because you don't know what I'm talking about.
They say
What? You do? In South Africa, they have it's like what? It's gone, right? There's no time for none of this stuff.
They say it's starting to look like a men's for that.
You know, we could rewrite Shulchan Aruch. We always have that option, and the people have done that already. But those who go with the Masorah, we don't rewrite Shulchan Aruch. Anyways, so I will just share with you that halacha is after the bris, you're allowed to take a shave and a haircut also. It's young.
But how does
So
this
the end of the day. To the end of the day. It's like he says, you don't say tachum b'mincha either. The sandik, moil, and father do not say tachum. They don't help anybody else. I'll give you a piece of advice. You could buy being a sandik, and then we put from top. Okay. Anyways, there's always a Jewish idea to something, right? The bottom line is that a parent, it's their simcha. Not because only they're being Makai in the mitzvah, the man being Makai in the mitzvah. It's their simcha. What about a grandparent? It's also their simcha. None of this is an extension. Not everybody agrees to this, but many places can.
Great-grandparents for sure.
What?
Great-grandparents.
I don't recall ever seeing anything about it, but I will just share with you what I call the humor of Rav Zachariash. So get out your magnifying glass. When when he had like a great some descendant born, so they told him Mazel Tov, so and so had a baby. So he said, "I'm kosher lahayu." That was his humor. You understand? No, this again. You say like it's not really. Now I will say, just on the thought of that, it's not that Rabbi Yashiv doesn't visit the subject. Rabbi Yashiv, a friend of mine spoke to him about this once. This idea that you have an obligation or a right, it's the right thing to do. I don't know, you can use whichever adjective you like, to name after a parent, grandparent, great-grandparent. How far up does it go? Rabbi Yashiv has an answer to that question. I don't want to say because I'm not 100% sure, but it doesn't go as far as you think. Okay? Now, Echshu. So a person makes a bris, so he invites his friends. How many friends should be invited? More than married, right? What? No, what's the concept over here? The concept is that it's not enough that it's a Sudas mitzvah. It has to be that you're shaykh to the Sudas mitzvah. Correct. Not in the food. In its happiness. And therefore, as I'm starting with this halacha, because I believe that it's important. It's on the bottom of the page.
That contrast with siyum?
Not in contrast. No, we're going to discuss the siyum too. Okay. What?
I know you're not supposed to invite people to risk
I'm not sure I understood that which you said. In other words, it's true that if you invite them, it could be that they have an obligation to come. And therefore, there's a liability.
not too back on this. Really.
Can I ask you a question? I'm going to share with you. I'd like to share with you a story that happened to me. It's a very important story. I don't think I ever said over the story in the shir, I was zeicha to facilitate two people here in Beit Shemesh to learn the Chavus. And after like 2 years, they make a siyum. And the son-in-law of one of the Messiahim told me that we're making a siyum probably a week or two, and we're going to invite you. I said, very nice, thank you very much. Came a week, 2, 3, I forgot all about it. Meet the son-in-law sometime later. And he says, we made this siyum, we decided not to invite you. I hope you're Michael. I said, fine. So he said, you want to know why we decided not to invite you? I mean, I've come some bar comes on my back right now, right? So I said, okay, why didn't you invite me? So we decided that it's too big a tircha for the Rav to come from Yerushalayim to Beit Shemesh. So I said, I take that back, I'm not Michael. And I'm insulted.
That actually what the folder were full, but they should
So
make that decision.
I said, it's a shtick of a chutzpah, and I'm insulted. So they weren't, for some reason, they weren't expecting that answer. So I said, I'll explain. I said, basically what you're saying is that I'm not mature enough to make a decision if I should come or not. So therefore you had to make it for me. That's super insulting. That's first. And second, do you know what the reasons why I would come or not come are that you could make the decision? In other words, how would you know why I would or wouldn't come? What makes me decide to come or not come? So to make the decision for me, you have to know my chishuvim. And I think that that's by far stepping out of bounds, that you think that you know. So the guy looked at me blankly. Like you would do me blankly too? Yes, you'll be happy in a minute, in 1 minute. I don't know in 2 minutes, but in 1 minute you'll be happy. I said, for instance, let's say I was matriach and I came from Yerushalayim to Ramat Beit Shemesh recently. And somebody sees, wow, Rav Zachariash came all that way. I'm going to start learning. It's so important to Rav Zachariash. I'm going to start learning Chavus and I'll make a siyum and come to myself. Did that happen?
Yeah.
So how did you make? How can you make a decision if you don't know what my question is? So as I say, you know, that's to say, you say, Rabbi Zachariash, if you can't come, I understand. There's a way to say that, right? But you say that, no, I can't withstand the pressure. I'll do something against my common sense because I am childish and I don't make rational decisions.
It came from a good place, but he wasn't.
But he's stepping out of bounds, right? No, I didn't. It's not good. It wasn't.
Yeah.
You know,
it's not good.
what?
He thought it's not good.
Yeah, but that's called stepping out of bounds, right? You know, he's a wonderful, sweet fellow, and you know,
I mean, the same idea is a lot of times you maybe should I invite this person because I know he's not going to come, but then that means he's obligated to give him a present or something of that nature.
Right.
So that's same idea.
So different situations demand different responses. Sometimes you invite somebody out of a courtesy. I have a friend of mine. Just want to share something with you. I have a friend of mine that told me a halacha. This friend of mine is not alive anymore, unfortunately. He went to Belyashiv's shir Yomi for 40 years. 40. Now, this friend of mine was not a particularly religious fellow. You know, it wasn't a particularly religious fellow. And this is the one I lived in as a starter. This is almost 30 years ago. We had this conversation. And he used a battery on Shabbos. He didn't use chashmal on Shabbos. So I asked him, why don't you use chashmal on Shabbos? He says, no, I use chashmal on Shabbos. But to those guys that I'm seeing, those are my batteries. So I said, why do you have batteries if you use chashmal? I said, I use chashmal on Shabbos. I've been in Rabbi Yashiv's share for 15 years, and I see how much it's ichpat that people shouldn't use chashmal. So I batteries also. L'chol Rabbi Yashiv. No, it's not because I'm marked. I have a Rebbe, and it's important to him. So I do it. It's not coming from a halachic place of being machmer. This is what my Rebbe feels is important. So I, as a Talmud of his, feel it incumbent upon me to go in that mahala.
But the sentiment for people have two phones, one regular phone, one smartphone. The regular phone is to please, please the Rebbe, and the smartphone is
Let's say I'll be wise and not comment. Okay. Anyways, so it's 9 days already. I don't want to put anybody in sakana. Anyways, so this fellow, I was one time speaking to him, and he told me a psak from Rabbi Yashiv about halachas shel, and this was around Chanukah time. And I said, "How do you know that psak?" He says, "I'll tell you. I'm in a chasna, and I invited Rabbi Yashiv to the chasna. Why did Rabbi Yashiv to the chasna? No, I didn't invite him to chasna because I was inviting him. I was inviting him. I'm making a simcha. No, you have to understand, right? He's making a simcha, so I should at least give him an invitation." So I gave him an invitation, and that was the end of it. He didn't come to the chasna. He came to Sheva B'chus, uninvited. Okay. Now, Shita Rabbi Yashiv is that there's no music by Sheva B'chus either, not just by chasna. The Minhag Yerushalayim extends itself to Sheva B'chus also. Any simchas chasna, and at this Sheva B'chus there was music, and the guys from the chutzner screamed at me, "You have music by chasna by Rabbi Yashiv?" I said, "I didn't invite him." Understand? He came by himself, right? So, and anyway, I had a whole discussion. Now, there are ideas of sharing insults. Why does Rabbi Yashiv come? And so much Albershah many times. There are simchas that he would go to. He'd say, "This person is a shayla mine, this person is this." So it demands that he reciprocate in a social manner. Okay, so you have to sometimes invite, give them not invite. And anybody who's a busy guy, people understand that you didn't make it. That's not like, So when you invite people, sometimes it's a courtesy, sometimes it's an obligation, sometimes you expect them to come. They're not to come. I'll just share with you one more story of the Rav Chaver from the 9 days. I'm inviting. I have a guy who's actually used to be friendly. So just technically moved away, live a different name. We don't have that much of a shaykhis. And he's a shalom yeshiva in the yeshiva that my son learned in. And he made a chasana. So I felt it's important for me to know. Fine. So I didn't go. For whatever reason, I couldn't come. And then the next time, so I apologized for not coming. So it's okay. I didn't send you an invitation because I expected you to come. It's not really important. There were enough people there to miss some me. So I asked him, would it make a difference to MS if I came with him? I didn't ask him like that, but that's what I asked him. He said, "No, not really. That's nothing. Very much to let you know." I said, "Why?" I said, "Because next time I'm not going to come." No, there wasn't an insult. There wasn't an insult. In other words, there's somebody who comes to the simcha, and you're filler. Sometimes you go to simcha, and you misamech about simcha by coming, right? So if I'm only going to, it's not an insult. If I'm only going to be the filler, I had something else to do, and I gave up in order to come. Say no, it's efshar lasasai de'acherim. This is not my concept. There's a concept, and sometimes it's efshar lasasai de'acherim. And when it's efshar lasasai de'acherim, then you better be there. You understand? This is important nakuda. Anyways, the halachas is as follows: that when it comes to having Fleischiks. Now, I would like to share something with you, a question which I don't know the answer. We're going to be in the Ramon Sifiyud. I don't know the answer to the question. This is right now an American question. I'm a Chassidish American. I don't know if you know what that is exactly. So I have a choice. Should I make my bris Fleischiks, like old good Jews, and only invite a minion mitzvah, or should I make it milchiks and have a choshev a bris?
The number of people depend on only on displacement, and not because
Yeah. No one has yet asked me this question. Hey, you like the question? Okay, so what's the question? What's the question? If someone were to ask me,
people can't eat fish anyway, except for the ones involved.
no, so I will just invite a limited amount.
But then they can, the other 7 people who are not involved directly can eat meat.
No, yes, a minion mitzvah. We'll see that Ramon in a minute, but we'll have a small amount. You can have 20 people, or you can have 50 people.
Not only the people that really shocked for the bris,
There are people, there are people who, let's say, somebody makes a kiddush in shul. They get in shul, so you go to the kiddush. Since they make a kiddush in their house, after you go to the kiddush. Why? Because you're friendly enough with them to make a kiddush here in shul, then you go. But it's not expected of you to go to their house. Right? The different relationships demand different things, right? Now, what is more important? The pirsum of the simcha of a bris, or eating fleischiks by the bris? It's a halachic question. You never thought of that?
With the scratch bite of the Sunnah's mitzvah.
100%. Okay. Now I set you up. I want to share. Excuse me. I take offense. That's what they did. That's not. No. The minig. That's like saying the minig in America before the Second World War was to Mechal Shabbos. That's not the minig. Who are the people who have fish? No. The minig means the people who are trying to do something properly. Not what people do. The minig that you give out lox bagel sandwiches after davening, that's the minig of how a bris is supposed to be. That's an embarrassment. I didn't say you shouldn't do it. That's a situation of that's not called it's the minig. That's what practicality allows. I don't think the minig in America is that.
Only places that did fleischiks to bring the shivah.
All chassidim do fleischiks. Right? Now the question arises. I'll share with you. I would like to share with you a question which I was asked 2 weeks ago. I wasn't planning to speak about this. It's a fascinating question. I got a phone call one morning, around 9 o'clock in the morning. My wife has to go to the mikveh tonight, and her sister, I was thinking, maybe this is not exactly right, but her sister's marrying off the child. Can she eat meat at the chasna? She's going after the chasna. She's going to the mikveh. Okay, so you're not allowed to eat meat the day they're going to the mikveh. And if I'm not mistaken, a chasna is called a sulas mitzvah, right?
There's no obligation to wash at the chasna.
Is it an obligation to wash at a bris? Is it an obligation to wash at a siyum? Ayah, please. Oh, okay. Now, this was the question that I was asked. That's when we're already into Hatera.
She allowed to.
Is she allowed to eat meat? So I said no. So I walked into Kotel. I had this one between my car and walking into Kotel. And there's a guy in my Kotel today, more or less answers Shabbos a little bit. So I asked him, so what do you say? He says, well, why don't you keep it? So I said to him, you have it all wrong. You have it all wrong. You think that's a stamamine, not to eat meat today, go to the mikveh. It's very serious. And you don't have to eat meat to be mitzvah to Sudas mitzvah. Can eat them in America, right? No, I was, well, one second. That's right. No, I didn't say that. That was just a joke, right? So I'll tell you what happened. He says to me, and this is where I'm saying this over because all things that you mentioned, he says to me, is there a mitzvah to eat meat on Shabbos? Someone say that over here today? Right? So I said, I think so. So he said, why? Shabbos just says, Oinik. Yontif it says, so it's a mitzvah to eat on Shabbos. Fine. I said, but anyways, no kashur. Then I hold my position very strong. Fine. I didn't look at any sefer. So where are you coming from? So I said, there's a tshuva in Knei Baisim. There's a tshuva in Rav Moshe from Rosh Halbershtam. Both of them take this very seriously. You see from them, they're busy discussing Chalamoid, they're discussing Purim, they're discussing all kinds of Sudas mitzvahs which are the real deal, and they're very cheap on the heter. So this Vade doesn't get into it. So I'll just tell you, this is a fascinating story. He said, I took out the sefer from the Vosner, this leader, and he seems to be making. He's very upset. Then I took out another sefer off the shelf, and that sefer started off so well. It started off so nice. It starts off the makor that you need to eat meat on Shabbos. The makor you need to eat meat, and for this, the substantial, everything. And then when it gets to a page and a half later, then he speaks about what about a siyum and a bris. And in my opinion, just takes a left turn from where he was going beforehand. And he says, anybody who would go to this is called, and he quotes the halacha we're about to learn right now, shaykh to the Suda, they're allowed to eat meat, just like in the 9 days. And he quotes from Mishnah Berurah we're about to learn. Now I saw this, and I was livid. The two things that doesn't follow the shtickle turn doesn't work. So I decided, but the bottom line is two prominent poskim are disagreeing with me, right? So we have to get to the bottom of this. And so I opened up Tshuva Shevet HaLevi, and there's somebody who accosted him already before he wrote it. It was written as Tshuva Shevet HaLevi, and he says, basically said, I changed my mind. You have to be machmer. Fascinating. And he quotes Rabbi Avrohom Baruch who was very machmer, and he says, look there, he wrote well. Very fascinating to on that subject. So, I knew I was on to something, right? No, he already discussed the places of how they view these things. Okay, now in the Sefer, which made that comparison, he said, however, a Sudas mitzvah where people are not makbid to eat meat at that Sudas mitzvah, so then Ula yesh lahachmer, and you shouldn't eat meat. If it's a Sudas mitzvah, that's a heter to eat meat, or a chiyuv to eat meat, or a kiyuv mitzvah to eat meat, then what do you care what people live in America is, right? And if not, trying to get to that, I looked around more, I saw I was in the majority. But let's see right now the halacha, because it's what?
You connect to what the doctor said about the chiyuv to eat meat from Shabbos, right? Yeah, I must be correct about what I said.
I quoted the sources that say that's a chiyuv to eat meat. Then what did I just say? Did I say it's a chiyuv to eat meat? I said there are many sources that say it's a chiyuv to eat meat.
I just remember she had a well-known Rabbi Manchester, Rabbi Yossi Chazal. Many years ago, we had an interesting Russia, the whole chiyuv It just needs to meet from Shabbos. Next, the possible says, meet Tavas of Shabbos. It all depends if the person has that desire in the soul. If you don't have that Tavah, then it's actually
this is a disputed point. This is a disputed point. My shuttif in Kailu that I involved in, he only makes milchiks a person. He spends way more money than he would make fleishiks because he says people want it. It brings more simcha to them, And no, it's not what. Now I will just say, and I don't want to get carried away on this subject. I'd like to pick a bone with Chazal, okay? And this needs the shir to be given on the subject. Can Chazal tell me what I like? It's bad enough in the 3 weeks, in the 9 days, Chazal tell me you have to love your friend. But at least there I conceptually understand what Chazal are saying, right? But when Chazal will say, Ein simcha ela b'basar v'yayin, is that a legislation? What? Well, that's an original source. And I just want to tell you something. 2 things I have to say about that. One is sourcing, you're 100% right. But the question is there too. Why about Kabbalah? You're happy. Did you ever taste the carbon? Does it make you happy? How do you know? Either it doesn't. Let's put it this way. If it goes automatic, I don't need Chazal to tell me. You don't have to tell a kid that ice cream is good. Right? It's not exeris hakosov. They can figure it out all by themselves.
Doesn't the Rambam say really we really did this because as the human, the goyim enjoy doing this?
That's how
maybe today people don't enjoy it.
Perhaps. But just to make the problem clearer, I'll quote the whole halacha. It says that men with meat, women with jewelry, that hasn't changed much, right? And little kids with candies, and each one for what makes them happy. Why couldn't you just left it at the end? Let me decide what makes me happy.
They would decide to shoot someone else. They might decide that their wife's happy with a new broom.
With a piece of meat. Right? Yeah, whatever. And say this is a question which needs to be explained. But actually, there are many places who say that the Suda has to be mechubad and people should enjoy it. That's the ikr. But there are those who even so much that they not eat so with chicken, they have to have real meat. There are many opinions on the subject. I was not discussing the halachic stuff, but I'm just pointing out there definitely is a point to having a person have a milk of the Suda in the 9 days and having a greater amount of people there for simple. That's just a point. Appears from that it says that idea. It says by Pidyon Ben. It doesn't say that by bris.
It's one of the 2 sides.
It's a simcha. The greater the simcha, I will just share with you this thing that you heard and you said over incorrectly, but not because you're saying it incorrectly. This word being medayek. Does not say anywhere that there's a problem of inviting somebody to bris. So that is a misquote. It's not your misquote. Everybody misquotes it. It says to invite to the Suda. It doesn't say about inviting to the ritual. This diuk is not mine. This diuk is a Panovich Rose. Because I know from the Panovich Rose. Panovich Rose, my uncle made a bris, and he came late, missed the bris, and he was there for the Suda, and they asked him to speak. So he got up to excuse himself for missing the ritual, and he brought 3 proofs that coming to the Suda are more important than coming to the ritual. And one of the proofs was this halach in Shulchan Aruch. It's before Shulchan Aruch that the person is over on a chayyim if you don't come. He said if you did a Suda, doesn't say anything about the bris. It's got a fascinating idea, right? But it needs to be explained. So what is the point? The point of the Sudas mitzvah of a bris is that you're happy that you did a mitzvah. That is something to celebrate, that you did a mitzvah.
What's the siyum?
What?
What's the siyum?
Yeah, but that's the Suda. The Suda is the expression.
They don't say that by siyum. Someone invites you to siyum.
They don't say it by every Sudas mitzvah either.
Right.
But I'm saying, but the point is, what it says, it says. And I'm explaining what it says now. You want to know what's the difference between this one and that one? If you ask me, the answer is very simple. Out of all the Sudas mitzvahs, the one that people have the most hesitation to, Ba'etzim, is a bris milah. Now, we maybe don't have hesitation to it because, like, we're brought up with it. But it's a meridikus, serious nefesh for parents to let their kids have this operation done. That makes absolutely no sense. No, it sounds terrible for me to say this. It's not like a very rabbi kind of thing to say. But Lamaisa, from a secular point of view, it's a serious nefesh. It's a serious nefesh. You disagree?
No, I disagree with the fact that the Sudas, according to what you're saying, the Suda has more importance than the bris itself. Now, the Suda is there because of the bris. If there wasn't a bris, there wouldn't be a Suda. So the bris should be much more important. Going to the bris should be more important than the Suda.
100%.
Should
In 2 weeks' time,
logic.
in 2 weeks' time, you read the Parsha sheet and you will find out the source of why that's incorrect. But until then, since we'll go to sleep, until then, the point is, you tell your kids, clean up your room. And you tell them, I did it. Is it good or no good? Answer the question. Lousy.
I did it, but not very
Lousy.
happy.
It's lousy. The parent feels empty. Because what he wanted, his kid was what we call in English on board, right? And the kid's not on board. Right? So if I do a mitzvah and I don't celebrate it, so you missed the point. This is what it
Who's more
says.
important, the one who blows the shirt or the one who says tekiah? The one who says tekiah is really more important.
I want to just tell you something. The Arizal says that the kavanas of the makriya worked out. Not
I understand, but that's really. I mean, not that I can
One more
go up
time?
and not that I
One
can
more
go up
time.
What I'm saying.
Doesn't sound.
Can't say I've been there.
Doesn't sound.
What?
The one blowing the shirt for Lachari is doing the mitzvah de Raisa, blowing the shirt for everybody's hearing. And the mockery is, I understand the Hasidic world.
No. You understand that you don't understand. You don't understand that. But over here, so I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna read something which you will see in 2 weeks. But since you cut the issue, so let me find the exact.
Definitely counterintuitive.
Yeah, 100%. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 11. This is a Pachad Yitzchak in Maimar Rishon of Purim. Okay, he brings Rabbeinu Yaina that he says, I don't know why I can't find it. I had it today during second Seder. He says that two people, one who learned his whole life, and the other one who worked his whole life. And the one who learned his whole life, he always had a urge to be elsewhere. And the one who worked his whole life, when he retires, he said, you know what, I wasted my life away working. I should have been Talmid Chacham. I want to learn. So Rav Hutner writes that the Balabas is closer to Hashem than the Talmid Chacham who knows all of Shas.
Yeah, what's your
What?
That's,
I think you could say how. Right?
That's why that's Hasidic.
יתוכן שלפנינו שני בני אדם, אחד עוסק בתורה בשקידה ובהסמדה. אוקיי? והשני איננו כלל בגדר זו של עוסק בתורה. אבל ומזויס, מוציאים אנו אצל הראשון תנועה של הסבטלוס, בשעה שנכנס אליו עושר גדול, he feels in awe of a rich man. ואילו בשעה שנכנס אליו תלמיד חכם, אינו זז ממקומו, it doesn't move him. ולעומת זאת, מציע לנו אצל השני, שבשעה שהוא נפגש עם תלמיד חכם, משתלט עליו יחס של חשיבות והסבטלוס, כי גם זה אמר לנו רבנו יונה, כי אף על פי שהשקידה סלימו ומצבו של הראשון הוא הרבה יותר גבוה מהשני, מכל מקום הראשון הוא הרבה יותר רחוק מן התורה מאשר השני. Me. This is a footnote. 2 weeks partial. Okay.
Sounds great.